So for Star Wars, I know you haven't really cared for Star Wars that much recently, but you know what's been going on. Anakin in Ahsoka, Luke in Boba Fett and Mandalorian, or just Boba Fett in general, the existence of the Boba Fett show, and Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. Those are different than cameos like Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan in Rogue One. I remember thinking that was...
Who? What did you just say? Ponda what?
Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan.
Who's Ponda Baba?
He's the guy who gets his arm cut off in the cantina in episode 4.
Oh, okay. I did not know those guys' names.
My bad.
Like, what syllables just escaped your lips? Ponda Baba Alaba.
Dabba dabba dabba.
You need carbs!
May thy knife chip and shatter. There is beauty in imperfections.
You're great. I am.
And if you feel it, are you watching closely?
Oh, hey there.
Oh, pay there.
Oh, pay there.
Oh, pay there.
Okay, oh, pay there.
Oh, let me scoot right past you there.
Oh. Lovely Minnesotan weather.
It's a warm day here in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. A warm 33 degrees.
Is it 33?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the high is 37. But we're rolling with this. I love it. I can't wait for all the people down in the parking lot to hear us talking, look up at us, and maybe talk at us.
Hey, check out the One Eye Film podcast, everyone, if you happen to be walking by.
Also, buy some merch.
Yeah.
Merch is available. I got something on it. Or maybe Ellie got something on it.
I should have worn my merch today. The bed.
You're wearing your Ninjas of Merch?
Yeah, I'm wearing the wrong podcast merch.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I hope we can make this. Maybe I should have put another layer of socks on. I don't know.
Another layer of socks.
Like there's a we want to be funny.
Yeah.
And say that we're outside in Minnesota. I can hear the in my Minnesota. We wanted to be funny, but also we're like, okay, but I'm gonna put jeans on to still be warm. Like we're not that crazy. We just want to prove that we're a little crazy.
Yeah.
And maybe this will go crazy on Instagram, saying, "What are they doing?" Also, you can't see the snow. Like there's not a ton of it, but that really shows the Minnesota.
There's a giant block of ice right there.
I'm also not going to dox myself, so that's a big thing.
Here's the address.
Yeah. All right, well, here we are, talking about nostalgia, finally.
Should we talk about, like, recent events and news first?
Yeah, we've been doing that.
We got Black Panther.
You need to talk about that a little bit more.
We've got the Daredevil trailer.
I
can talk about Juror number 2 if you want to. So
okay, we'll do our weekend update with Colin Jost and Jay. You know the SNL bit.
Oh,
the weekend
yeah.
update. Yeah. No, but actually, tell me more about Black Panther. I understand the drama, but I don't know why it's coming up now.
Yeah,
And by now I mean last week when we recorded this. From when you're listening.
Yes.
Got it.
I think it's just one of those things that's become a rumor again.
Sure.
I don't know if there's much. I mean, you never know with rumors. There's always wild rumors.
Yeah.
But I feel like wild rumors have become more true recently.
Yeah.
With just Marvel. I don't know if Marvel's losing it or what. But
yeah. The hard part to believe about this is that Black Panther 2 was made saying goodbye to the main Black Panther and established Shuri as the Black Panther, as the mantle being passed on to her. So why would they suddenly go back on that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a multiverse thing or what.
I also think it's odd that I think we talked a while ago about choosing to go that route with Wakanda Forever, not recasting him, at least for the moment, and yet recasting somebody like Thaddeus Ross.
Yeah.
It's like, was Thaddeus Ross not that important? I'd agree that he's not as important of a main character, but recasting him and not Chadwick Boseman is a little interesting, especially that they happen at the same time. So yeah, I just don't know. The part that I don't get about the whole Black Panther recasting is that they've established the story. Like the story is contingent on the fact that Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa has passed. And they didn't even acknowledge how or why. They just did. And that was the point of Black Panther 2. And to suddenly make Black Panther 3 and say, hey, T'Challa is actually alive. he looks different. I mean, they rarely acknowledge that they look different.
Yeah.
But to just say he's alive after there was a whole morning scene before, or beginning and the end of the movie, the strongest points, and that, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard for Shuri to be like his sidekick in the Black Panther suit. Mm-hmm. But again, like, they had a funeral for him.
They
like,
did.
why are they recasting somebody who's dead?
I don't know.
Canonically.
That's why I don't really believe the rumors. But
Yeah.
I also think, Chadwick Boseman really defined the character
True.
in big ways. And I would say he's in, like, the top 5 comic book castings.
Yeah. I think he was
He
perfect.
was legendary in the role, and he was just generally a good guy as well. I mean, he was a Christian for one thing, but even besides that, he was a very nice person. Everyone knew that, but
I didn't know that he was Christian.
yeah. So that's why I think that it's really more honoring to him to not recast him. Mm-hmm. While with someone like Thaddeus Ross, he's not as legendary of a character as Black Panther is. And who's William Hurt? William Hurt was the actor. I think it came out afterward that he wasn't that great of a person either. So it's.
So then you get into a moral dilemma of, like,
Yeah.
are you just recasting the person based on if they were good or not? And
Yeah.
by good by what standards? You want to talk about Frank Turk's apologetics is like, what defines good? Where are you getting this level of good from? If God is good, why is there evil in the world? Well, where do you get this idea of evil? And it's because God has set that standard of good in his being truth. Mm-hmm. So that then it's like, you could go down that rabbit hole. Ellie would love to go down that rabbit hole.
And I think too that they had that stuff set up for Ross.
Yeah.
With Red Hulk
Obviously.
and everything. And I assume they had more. They obviously had more set up for T'Challa, Black Panther too. But I think it was easier to let his character rest, and it would be less impactful for the MCU as a whole to let him rest than to just kill off Ross.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So
Strange, for
Yeah.
sure. Daredevil trailer.
Exciting stuff.
Yep. The only thing I want to start off saying is that the only reason I've seen the memes of, like, how does he tell which color his suit is? He smells the colors or something. I think that there is some tactical use, but also I don't get that. Like, that's a very that's a big stretch for why he has different color suits. I don't get it. It looks cool, except for the mustard suit.
Yeah, it looks cool, but that's just kind of the thing. It only looks cool. That's like just an eye candy type of scene. He can't have a practical use for each 5 of those suits.
Yeah, like Iron Man will redesign his suits.
Yeah.
He'll say, I want to try a different model, a different curvature of the suit or something, different armor plating, and that's fine. That works for the story. Or like, I think Batman. Oh no, Spider-Man does that. Like
Spider-Man has some different suits too.
he also combines the suits at the end of No Way Home, and he's like, this is like all Spider-Man, pieces of them. And so that makes sense. It doesn't make sense for me, in my mind, to have different colored suits. A yellow one especially, we'll talk about that actually today with today's topic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
It's like, how does he have the funding for that either?
That too.
You know what I mean? It's
And
like
I don't know. I don't remember what happened to Melvin. We're still getting through season 3 before Born Again comes out. But I thought something happened to him.
I'm pretty sure he stays alive. But now he's got the other suit designer that She-Hulk canonized, unfortunately. The male Edna Mode.
I know what you're talking about. That's unfortunate.
That was unfortunate. I hope Daredevil Born Again honestly just completely ignores both She-Hulk and Echo.
Yeah.
Just make it a sequel to Daredevil season 3 and ignore every. Well, I guess they're going with the mayor route with Kingpin.
Well,
which came from Echo. But
and apparently he's good because she wiped his childhood trauma from her.
yeah, that's what I don't want to see a good Kingpin.
No, I think that there has been, from what I heard, there's previous comic iterations where he does have a good side that he plays. Not like part good, part bad. It's like he is good for a while, but I also think that he's a character who needs to be evil and doesn't have a good side.
You see him beating people up in the trailer, but I guess you don't know the context of the scene.
Yeah,
so.
and the part of his character is that he's just so passionate and stays within his morals, but his morals are make Hell's Kitchen better, protect Vanessa, and when those things are impended on, he's turns evil and like he will kill people in an apartment complex so that he can bulldoze the apartment complex. That's his character, is like he's doing it for the good, even though his methods are wrong. And he's also like he was talking to Matt in season 3. He's like, you can talk smack to me and you can beat me up, but when you bring Vanessa into this, when you bring Vanessa. Into, so he's consistent, I would say. And I think that just having a change of heart, even if it's because of Echo, it doesn't work for me. He's I don't know. There's a lot that worries me simply because of the past. The past of having a good trailer and a crappy show. But everything
Marvel's had a pattern of that.
But that's the only thing. I think everything else looks good. I still don't. We've talked about how I don't really get the Punisher coming back, but I'm sure there's a good reason. They've always said that it's more violent than the Netflix show, and I'm like, that's not what makes Daredevil good. If you're going to make it more violent and less theological, like season 3 is, that's not Daredevil. Like, we don't just want an R-rated Daredevil. We want a good Daredevil, and that usually means some theological processing in his head that we get a lot of in season 3.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I can understand Punisher being in it. Just in the sense, like, if like, Matt needs help with vigilante stuff, I don't know who else he would really go to.
And they could continue the season 2 conflict of how do you deal with the bad guys? Do you just put them down where they stay down?
Mercy or ruthlessness.
Or do you use the law? And even, I forgot about this, but when we got through season 2, when they were on the boat, he was like, we can do this, or Matt was like, we can do this your way, just this once. Like, that was the start of his descent into his season 3 problems.
And doesn't Frank push back on that, or what happens?
I think he's he's like, we'll do this once your way. And he's like, no, we always got to do it my way, because they'll keep coming. Like, he's like, but Daredevil's like, no, I'm giving you this compromise for just the situation. Take it or leave it. What was the other thing?
Speaking of that, the whole, like, a line was crossed.
Yes, I think that's going to be good. I'm pretty sure it means that he accidentally killed somebody.
Yeah.
Because that was a comic storyline where he crossed his own line of killing somebody, which, spoilers for season 3, is a big thing that he deals with. And eventually he's going to cross that line, and he's going to feel terrible. He puts down the mask, even though he technically did that in season 3 at the end, didn't he? At the very end? I need to finish it. I'm almost there, and then I can talk confidently about it.
What is it? Yeah, the a line was crossed line gives off the same vibes as, like, I stopped pulling my punches.
Yeah.
So,
teasing a lot.
Yeah.
I hope that plane doesn't get picked up. These microphones aren't that sensitive.
No. What do you think about his new suit? Just like the red new suit he has.
I mean, I haven't really been a suit guy. We talked about this in Superman.
Okay.
Where it's like, I don't get the collar, the trunks debate. Like, it's a suit. The only thing I noticed is that the shot of the helmet falling, one of the horns is missing, and it has a D shape, which that's just a little Easter egg. That's not a design thing, but I don't know. It looks like a Daredevil suit. I like it. I like the action that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have thoughts on the suit?
I don't know. I think I liked the suit in the original show better.
Yeah, it was great.
This one almost looks a little clunky, I would say. His suit in the original show looked a lot more streamlined, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what else
I
was
don't
there?
know.
Do I have anything else, man? Oh, White Tiger?
Yeah.
Kind of
Again,
goofy.
I thought...
He looks a little goofy.
Yeah.
For a Daredevil show.
I'm worried that there's a lot of villains.
Yeah, there are. With Bullseye, too.
With Bullseye, with
Kingpin.
White Tiger, Kingpin.
Oh, White Tiger's not a villain.
Punisher. What did you... Oh, that's right. You corrected me a while ago that he's not a villain. But then also Muse.
Yeah. Oh, Muse is going to be intense.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Muse, but the more I hear about him, the more I'm like, oh, that's going to be violent for one thing, but intense too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like the Vikings.
Where is this going?
They've been showing promise, and I've been seeing the promise of Daredevil through the season 3, and what they've been saying about it, and how they rewrote it from the bottom up, and yet it's Marvel. They're going to continue to disappoint. And maybe it could be an Andor thing where we're like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then it never happens again.
No. Do you think Daredevil Born Again will be better than Daredevil Season 2?
No, I think it'll be on par or worse than season 2.
Okay.
So if it's on par, I'll be satisfied. Like,
Yeah.
I would watch season 2 of Daredevil over anything else that Marvel's created in the last 5 years, except Guardians. Guardians doesn't count.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I will be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. Don't know for sure. What was the last thing you wanted to talk about?
I mean, I watched Jury Number 2 last
Jury
night.
number 2. You liked it?
Dude, that movie was so good.
Okay. Do you wish you would have watched it in 2024 to include it in your ranking?
Yeah, I mean, I should still try and fit it somewhere in there. It would it might take a wicked spot for number 5.
Wow.
Bump Wicked down.
This is straight to, well, it wasn't straight to streaming, but
It was
it's pretty
essentially
close.
straight
It
to
was pretty
streaming
close.
because it was in like 5 theaters or something.
Yeah.
No, it was more than 5, but it was a very limited theatrical release, which was dumb.
Yep. Anyways,
It's got one of the dumbest uses of Google. I'll tell you that.
dumbest uses of Google.
Yeah. I don't want to tell. I don't know if I want to tell you more.
Where is
without
it
spoiling anything.
showing? Or what is it on?
It's on Max, but you can
Oh.
also rent it for $6 on Amazon.
I think Max might be our next subscription. We try and do one subscription at a time. I think Max would be a good one, especially I kind of want to watch the DC movies or some of them, like Man of Steel
Oh yeah.
and Justice League with Ellie. She probably will text
the
me.
theatrical cut or the Snyder cut.
I don't know. I'm just
Ah.
saying. I kind of want to watch them.
My answer
And
is
if Ellie's listening to this, I'll probably get a text the Friday this comes out saying, yes, I want to, or no, that's a terrible idea. So, love you, honey.
you should watch the animated DC movies too.
That too.
Yeah.
You piqued my interest when we talked to Superman about the DCAU. So
Yeah. Well, even beyond the shows, there's a bunch of good. The DCAMU, the DC Animated Movie Universe.
Okay.
Which is
These
different than-
acronyms are
which
getting
is
out of
different
hand.
than the DC Animated Universe. The DCAMU has a bunch of good movies in it as well.
Gosh.
So-
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you
sure
got
enough-
you got me to watch. What was it? The Killing? No, not the Killing Joke. That's different.
Under the Red Hood.
Under the Red Hood. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
That one's
good,
great.
Good insight into the Batman character and
And Red Hood.
Red Hood.
Red Hood's. I gotta see Red Hood in a live action movie.
Yeah. I've heard good things about the Hush movie.
I heard the end's very controversial.
Okay. I don't know.
They
That's-
they change his. They entirely change Hush's backstory.
Well, I don't know Hush's
Okay.
backstory, so I don't care.
Well, maybe you'd like it more then, but.
Okay.
But yeah, Jury Number 2, it was a very complex suspense thriller with multiple layers that kind of just keeps you.
The
at
premise
edge of your
from the
seat
trailer is
the whole
that
time.
he causes the crime.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out who did it, and he ends up on the jury of his own crime.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a
essentially the
cool
plot.
premise.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nicholas Hoult stars in it, and he's great.
Yep.
J.K. Simmons is in it.
I saw that just from your snap that you sent me.
Yeah. He was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
There we go. Caught up on the week.
So Batman.
So bad, man.
So where are we starting with our nostalgia conversation?
Well, I wanted to talk about nostalgia as a concept.
Okay.
I wrote some stuff down really quickly because I don't ever research long enough before this. I wrote down, what do we mean by nostalgia? There's different kinds of nostalgia, such as playing with a Game Boy again, watching Looney Tunes, or eating a favorite meal of the past. The nostalgia I'm talking about is the type of Frankenstein's monster that's modern Hollywood trying to revive that feeling that we had watching something good from the past in the context of something not as good. And one video essay that I watched said, for some reason, familiar equals good,
Yeah.
which objectively can be true, as in familiar is comfortable, familiar is reminding you of the good times. Again, that may be a little incorrect of you because you're only remembering the good things. You don't ever remember, the heartbreak you were going through of that high school time. You just remember watching Daredevil for the first time or something, and that's the nostalgia, the remembering the good times. I really want to watch this movie now because it was brought up in this video essay. It's Midnight in Paris. Owen Wilson time travels or goes back to the 20s, and he's like, this is like what I've always wanted. This is the time that I wish I could have lived in. And everyone in the 20s is like, this time sucks. Like, let's go back. We want to be in the 1880s or something like that. And one quote from the movie is, nostalgia is denial a denial of the painful present. It's a flaw in the romantic imagination of those people who find it difficult to cope with the present. Bars. So it's desiring to take yourself out of the present situation into something that seems familiar, not necessarily better or good, just what's familiar and makes you feel comfortable. And I'll let you talk about it, what your thoughts are in a second, but that's the basis of nostalgia bait. And I have so many examples of nostalgia bait in recent movies and shows that just we need to talk about the differences. And there's even, I have something down here that's like, what's the difference between a nostalgia bait, a nostalgia character coming up versus a cameo that just a cameo or Easter egg that's just a once and done, like, hey, I know that guy. Like that's fun, but it's what's the difference? But I want to hear your thoughts on nostalgia in general, maybe not specific to movies.
Oh, just in general.
Well, I'm saying like I started with nostalgia definition.
I don't know how much we like nostalgia, as you said, because it brings us back to a familiar, comfortable time. I think it's easy for us to achieve as well, and it gives us a good feeling. Easier than, like, I don't know. I feel like, nostalgia can give us a good feeling like a good story does. Without it having a good story sometimes, if you know what I mean. So it can be easier for us to just go back to what we like instead of finding something new. True. And that's why I think we like nostalgia, and that's why I think Hollywood studios really kind of prey on that feeling that we have. So
I think you said something that made my case better than it made your case. And this is the reason we're having this episode is because we've hinted at it multiple times of how we disagree on some.
I think we disagree less than we think we disagree.
It's true.
But
I'm making it for the drama.
Yeah.
I'm making us disagree for the drama. But for one, I wanted to point out that some nostalgia baiting just makes you wishing for the original thing.
Yeah.
Such as Star Wars. Star Wars, anytime they bring in a cameo, I'm like, I just want to watch the thing that they first appeared in.
Well, that's like every live-action remake, too. I mean, I feel like when you watch any live-action remake, you're like, why am I not just watching the original right now?
Yeah.
That's what my friend told me when they watched the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender show. They were just like, why am I not just watching the original show right now?
You tell me.
Yeah.
You said something about bringing something new.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't. What I'm thinking of is, I think our main disagreement of like recasting Charlie Cox or Spider-Man, which we'll get to, I think, in a little bit. I don't want to get there quite yet. But like, I think Hugh Jackman is a good example because now after Deadpool and Wolverine, they have joked about he's gonna do this till he's 90.
Yep.
Like that's the essence of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Give somebody else the chance to play Wolverine.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not too much of an ask, but he's never going to. I mean, he will eventually. I'm just saying that. I sent you a meme of like, what was your era of superheroes? It was 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. Hugh Jackman's in all of them. There's different Batmans, sure. There's different Spider-Mans, but Hugh Jackman's in all of them. Give somebody else a chance to play Wolverine. I admit that he's a great cast.
He is.
But he's been in it in like 10 movies.
Yeah.
More probably.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for things like that to just move on. And where that line is, I don't know. I'm excited for Charlie Cox to come back as Daredevil. I would probably welcome an Amazing Spider-Man 3, but at that point, I'm like, is it necessary?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, is any movie or story necessary?
I think I have a question here. When is the addition of a new or a familiar face a necessary continuation of the story or using a recognizable face for views? Because I think that's a lot of characters will say, I'm not coming back for my role unless it's done well. I believe John Bernthal said that about Punisher. He said, unless my character is treated with respect, I'm not coming back. And I mean, his character is in Born Again. But like, I think I think Jordan Peele said that about Get Out is like the moment that it started doing well, he was asked about a sequel, and he's like, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't want to do it for cash grab. I want to do it if there's a reason to. And so that seems to be what a lot of studios seem to ignore right now is the familiar face will get them views, whether it's literal views on streaming or a ticket in the theater or just content on YouTube about their media. And sometimes that means paid off. Sometimes that means a bad thing that people are like, oh, why did Luke Skywalker appear in season 2 of The Mandalorian? I don't know. All press, or what is it? All press is good press?
All press, yeah. All press is good press, yeah.
Yeah. So you can't just give an overall answer to, is it a continuation of the story or is it a cash grab? Because it's different for each case.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it seems like a cash grab recently.
It's all been cash grabs.
What's that?
I said it's just all been cash grabs. It feels like, well, a lot of them have.
Yeah.
I mentioned my, like, spectrum of nostalgia movies before, haven't I?
Probably.
Okay.
You want to talk like movies that you... No, explain. Explain what you mean by your nostalgia movies.
Well, you know, on like your far left, you've got the bad... you've got where they expected the nostalgia to completely, like, carry the movie.
Okay.
So they don't write a good script at all. And that's where you've got, like, Jurassic World, Dominion.
That's a good one. I didn't put that on here.
There's others there, but I can't really think of what those would be right now. What was another bad nostalgia movie recently? There's more, I just can't think of them.
I would say Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
Even
yeah,
though
Rise-
that's not recent. That's like 6 years old at this point.
Yeah, that makes me feel old. That feels like a 2023 movie for me for some reason. That was 2019.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then in the middle, you've got kind of like a mid-script, but the nostalgia's good enough that it carries it. And that's where you've got like Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I think we can agree those both had mid-scripts, but the nostalgia really carried it. And so
So you're saying like if the nostalgia was taken out, if any familiar faces were removed from the script, it would not have...
It would not have been as good of a movie.
I agree.
I agree.
But yet, you know, you're still in that theater, you're still clapping because you're glad to have these characters back. And also, like, if you didn't already recognize these characters, you wouldn't have as good of a time either.
It's true.
So,
is it made for new fans, old fans, or incoming fans? Like, who is this made for is a good question to ask.
And then you've got great nostalgia and great stories, and that's where you've got, like, Top Gun Maverick and Twisters.
Yes.
I don't know if Twisters really counts.
Wait a second. I have those in their own categories of remakes. So it was like later down the line I was going to talk about remakes. Not we have live action remakes of animation coming in a different episode.
Yeah.
But remakes of like I have Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and iCarly as like, well, Fresh Prince was more of a story. Fresh Prince was more of a story.
Didn't they remake
remake
it as like a drama?
I don't remember. I just know that they rebooted
Okay,
it.
it's
It
on
wasn't
Peacock,
with Will
I
Smith,
think, but-
obviously, because he's an old man now. iCarly was with the same actors and actresses,
cast,
continuing the story. Versus Top Gun Maverick and Twisters, which was you could probably watch it by itself, and it was really good, and it was a good story. Even if I would say that, especially Twisters, because I hadn't watched the original Twisters, you could watch it without knowing the original one. I would say Top Gun even, you could just know that Goose died, and that's all you need to know. And it's still a great movie.
Twisters is a weird case, too, because it's really only a nostalgia movie in its title.
I thought I saw a comparison of like, well, again, it's not a shot-for-shot remake, but there was similar beats of like trying to stop a tornado with science.
But it's still like a completely... Oh, maybe not a completely original story. Maybe it is based off it, but you know, it's completely original characters and everything, so it's...
Yeah, I would say the difference between Maverick and Twisters is that Twisters doesn't have like a fan base.
Yeah.
Top Gun has a lot of people from when it first came out who really liked it, like my dad. But then, you know, it's also bringing in new people. Like, I had to watch Top Gun 1 after watching Top Gun Maverick as a refresher. I think I had seen it before, but like, it didn't deaden my experience, or it didn't... I also don't think I really want to watch Twisters 1. Like, I'd rather just watch Twisters...
Yeah.
Twister is the first one. Twisters. Have you seen the meme of, like, aliens movie where
Oh, yeah.
on Redbox or Letterboxd, he's like reviewing Alien, and he's like, "Dang, I love this movie, but I wish there were more aliens." And then he reviews Aliens, and he's like, "Holy crap, no way!" So it's like Twister. I wish there was more Twisters. No way.
Do you think Top Gun Maverick and Twisters are both better than the original movies?
Well, I haven't seen Twister. I would
haven't
say
either,
yes.
so.
This is a weird case of modern technology making a previous story better. And again, Top Gun Maverick is not the same story as Top Gun. Twisters, I believe, is similar, but not a one-for-one remake. I do think that there was a lot of CGI, not even CGI, just good technology. Oh, it was CGI. I remember this Corridor Crew talking about it. Used for the first Twister, and it was groundbreaking then. But now that you've perfected it, it is something that could be remade. And with new things like they were YouTubers and the technology they were using to make a 3D scan of the tornado, like those are modern things that help the story, I think. Top Gun had, the basis of Goose and Maverick together, and that played into Rooster and Maverick's relationship. And I think there's a lot of good groundwork. So I think they were both warranted. Again, some of these you're like, you could go on not ever having them come out. Like in an alternate universe where neither of them come out, you're gonna survive. Yeah, it's not like a trilogy or a duology that just stops after the first one or the second one, and you're just left hanging. Like I need to know what happens. It's like they're complete movies on their own. So making them again or a sequel to them it's happened and it's great.
Man, I remember I was trashing so much on Top Gun Maverick before it came out.
Really?
Just because I was like, why are we getting a sequel for this 30 years later? There's no need for this.
Yeah.
This is just pure nostalgia bait.
Yeah.
And then when I was in that theater, I was like, I get it now.
Yeah.
You know, like that Danny DeVito meme? I'm just like, I get it now. Yeah. Hey, there's a meme for you. OEFP meme page.
I was also thinking of Mission Impossible. That's more of just sequels to continue making. Tom Cruise needs a reason to do crazy stuff, and Mission Impossible is his reason to do that. So that doesn't really fall in, especially because it's been the same story, same characters continuously, so it's not really a remake. We're not talking about franchises that go on too long.
Yeah.
Let's get back to nostalgia, Easter eggs versus cameos versus just nostalgia-bait characters. So for Star Wars, I know you haven't really cared for Star Wars that much recently, but you know what's been going on. Anakin in Ahsoka, Luke in Boba Fett in Mandalorian, or just Boba Fett in general, the existence of the Boba Fett show, and Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. Those are different than cameos like Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan in Rogue One. I remember thinking that was...
Who? What did you just say? Ponda what?
Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan.
Who's Ponda Baba?
He's the guy who gets his arm cut off in the cantina in eepisode 4.
Oh, okay. I did not know those guys' names.
My bad.
Like, what syllables just escaped your lips? Ponda Baba Alaba.
Laba daba daba.
Okay, now I know.
So they're in A New Hope in the cantina. And they're the ones who confront Luke.
That's a cool nod that I feel like isn't really a...
And they walk past them in Rogue One, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm walking here." Hey. More or less, he's like a New Yorker. Yeah. "Hey, I'm walking here." And then they're gone. Like, that's a cool nod, and then they're done. Whereas Han, Luke, and Leia appearing in the sequel don't really count either, because they're continuations of the story that exist. It's like, even though the prequels were made first, it's like, obviously you're going to set up. It's a continuation of the story, or a setting up of the story. It makes sense and doesn't feel out of place. And yet, there was some, like Palpatine in the sequels that that was completely a cash grab. It's like, you like Palpatine from the previous 6 movies, you're going to have him in this 9th movie, and you're going to like it. Yeah. Just because he cackles and says creepy stuff and whatever.
So you're saying for nostalgia to be done well, it has to naturally progress the character's story.
Yeah, because then it gets out of the realm of nostalgia. Yeah. Then it's just continuing the story.
It's still nostalgia.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, I don't think Han, Luke, and Leia in Star Wars sequel trilogy is nostalgia. It is.
It's
I see what
still nostalgia.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's not a cash grab.
No, it's not. It wasn't a catch.
It has its place because it's continuing their story, even if they're not main characters. The nostalgia is just the fact that they are making more of these instead of the fact that they're showing up, as opposed to The Mandalorian, completely original, follows its own story, and then suddenly Luke Skywalker shows up. And suddenly everyone's talking about Mandalorian Season 2 finale because Luke Skywalker's there. Yeah. That's the difference. And that's not how the sequels were approached, with those characters at least. Though, I will say that some of the things that the characters do in the sequels are more nostalgia. Like when Han says to Ben, I know, at the very end, or in episode 9, Ben is like all angsty on the dock of the ocean, whatever they were fighting on. And he sees his Force Ghost dad, and he says, I know, which in the moment I was like, that's sweet because that's Han's way of saying I love you. And I think that was just like, he said the thing. Yeah. That's another big thing of nostalgia is he said the thing, or he did the thing. Yeah. So, yeah. Don't know. Those didn't sit well with me, I don't think.
I'm pretty sure that scene there, you know, where he's standing in the rain and everything and talking to his Force Ghost dad, I think that was originally supposed to be, where one version of the script had like a duel between Anakin and Darth Vader, and him like to like be like an external of his of Kylo's internal struggle.
Okay, but the only time Anakin and / Darth Vader has shown up is his helmet. Yeah. And at the end of episode 9, which hadn't come yet by that scene of him talking to Rey. So,
I mean, it would have been cool to see, but again, it probably would have.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been. It might have been better than what we got, but.
Yeah. I was going to talk about the recent Star Wars stuff, such as Ahsoka with Anakin, and characters, not as much, but characters like, what's his face? Blueface.
Cad Bane.
Nope.
What? Another blue-faced guy in Star Wars?
Yeah, the general in Ahsoka.
Oh, Thrawn.
Thrawn, yeah.
I mean, Thrawn was less nostalgia than Anakin was.
I'll take that back, yeah. Thrawn was more of they finally brought him into live action. Yeah. But even still, I think that his inclusion, I think we should be basing a lot of our nostalgia rulings on if it was, if they were removed from the story, would it be good? Like, if that was just a normal general, would it have been the same?
You mean if that would have been like an original character instead?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not that it was wrong to include him. I think people actually liked seeing him in live action, even if he looked like Elon Musk.
But that was more the actor.
Yeah.
That was the voice actor that played him. Yeah. Did you know that?
No.
Okay.
Also, that's just a coincidence that they were like, hey, maybe you should play you kind of have the face for it. Whereas opposed to something like, I don't know, I'm thinking of The Last of Us and the hate that the actress gets.
I don't understand that.
Versus, I mean, obviously the voice actor couldn't play her, but I don't know, something like that. Anyways, Anakin and Ahsoka, I don't know, people are longing for the Hayden Christensen comeback, and
I can't talk negatively about that episode. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too mentally warped by nostalgia, but I can't talk negatively about Anakin in that episode. Would you have been so cool to see?
Would you have been satisfied with what we got from Anakin in the prequels? Or have you always wanted more? Like, if Ahsoka and Obi-Wan never came out, would you have been satisfied? Or do you think that because they came out, you're happy that with what they've done with the characters?
You know, okay. You know what we were saying in our Superman episode? How I was like, Henry Cavill just needed a better director to be a good Superman. Yeah. I feel like that was the case with Hayden Christensen in Ahsoka. That was his Anakin with better directing. Yeah. It's been weird, too, because Clone Wars Anakin and, like, prequel trilogy Anakin feel like completely different characters. Yeah. I don't know how much Clone Wars you've watched. Have you watched much Clone Wars?
No. First couple.
Clone Wars Anakin is very, like, confident and, you know, like a very fit leader and everything like that. Prequel trilogy Anakin's just whiny.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
it's true.
Seeing Hayden Christensen play this more confident Anakin was so good. And Was he actually playing? Was he actually Anakin in that?
Yeah,
he was.
Ahsoka?
Yeah, he was actually like Force Ghost Anakin in the
Force Ghost
Between Worlds,
Anakin
right?
in the other realm or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
He was embodying Ahsoka's past fear of her master that was also explored in Clone Wars. Or no,
Oh,
not
yeah.
Clone Wars, in Rebels.
Yeah.
Of like, how do I love this person? Or how do I hate this person that I used to love?
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, just seeing Hayden Christensen get the chance to kind of like redeem himself by playing that Anakin
Yeah.
was just so special, and I loved it.
And I think that's a good transition. Well, first, before we move on from Star Wars, I wanted to say that Obi-Wan felt torn between nostalgia
Yeah.
and bad writing. So it's like you see the bad writing. A lot of people don't. I don't. The shills love it, but most people are like, Obi-Wan wasn't that great.
Yeah.
But it's still like the look of it and seeing seeing Ewan McGregor play the role again and seeing that final fight, even if it was a stupid fight, just seeing that
You
he's
thought the last
holding
fight
up.
was stupid? With the
It's a
rocks
little-
and everything?
It's a little stupid.
What
It was super dark. The stupid thing
Oh,
about
yeah.
the new lightsabers is that they glow, and so they're like, let's turn off all the lights to show that they glow.
Yeah.
That's a
I
lot of
suppose.
the fights.
Yeah.
Admit it. But the existence of giving Ewan McGregor another chance and Hayden Christensen in the same show
Yeah.
is fun. I still think that it was executed poorly with the story. I don't think that it was wrong to desire another edition. I do think it should have been a movie, but I think there was an in-between story similar to the Clone Wars. So the Clone Wars, they made the movies and they're like, there's more story here between 2 and 3. So when they made a whole TV show animated, and I'm like, everyone loves it, or most people love it. It's like, it's a story that was worth telling. Salt guy's down there.
Yeah, yes. Hey, check out our podcast now.
As I was transitioning from Anakin and Anakin being Hayden being Anakin, getting another chance, that rolls perfectly into Andrew Garfield.
Actually, going back to...
Frick, my segues aren't working.
Sorry, I mean, you brought up Obi-Wan, so I want to talk more about
Sure,
Obi-Wan.
sure.
Yeah, it's... The weird thing about that show is that it was one of the original characters that kind of pulled the show down in Reva. Reva? Yeah, that was her name.
Yeah,
The Inquisitor.
yeah.
I
16th sister-in-law or something.
I don't necessarily think her her character was bad, but it pulled away too much from what the heart of the story should have been between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
Yep, for sure.
If you would have just had, I mean, it should have just been a movie. I'm gonna say that. I think you can find fan edits of that online where it's just
Yeah.
a concentrated movie focusing on that internal struggle and everything between Obi-Wan and Anakin. But there was just so much that pulled away from that with young Leia and with Reva that it, even though it was kind of nostalgia baiting, it could have been really good.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed.
So-
Now
Yeah.
I'm going to transition.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield.
Into Andrew Garfield, who a lot of people have said giving him the opportunity
Yeah.
to play Spider-Man again was worth it. No Way Home is a big topic to cover here.
It is.
I kind of have
like-
2 other sections.
There's like 5 of them. So
One being No Way Home, and then the rest being like other superhero.
yeah.
Actually, let's do that first. I'm ruining my segues all over the place. Let's
Yeah.
talk about
We're just crashing segues here.
let's talk about other characters who have been, pulled back into their role for nostalgia. RDJ as Doom, not
RDJ
necessarily,
as Doom.
not necessarily
That's-
nostalgia,
that's-
but the whole reason he's cast is because people love him as a
Yeah.
person and as an actor. I'm just gonna list the other ones: Deadpool and Wolverine with Wesley Snipes and Jennifer Gardner, the Flash TV show with John Wesley Shipp, and loads of others through crossovers.
Yep.
But crossovers are more Easter eggs and cameos than anything else. But I do think John Wesley Shipp being the Flash in a different TV show
Yeah.
was
Well, I mean,
something.
there was like Brandon Routh Superman too, and
That
others
too.
in there that were.
But like I said, that's more Easter egg and cameo for the crossover sake.
Yeah.
With John Wesley Shipp, he was playing his dad, and then they were like, "Hey,
Oh, yeah.
let's also make him an alternate universe Flash."
Yeah.
And then like, And then the last one I had was the Flash movie with Michael Keaton and Michael Shannon, the whole Flash movie was. Yeah. There were cameos, and yet they were controversial because they were
Dead.
CGI and dead, and possibly without permission for some of them, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was the main characters who were like. I sent you something that was like, imagine the Flash as a Marvel show. It's if Spider-Man. I'd have to look it up.
Oh, yeah, because that's
equivalent.
That's the one, Black Lion video, right? Where he makes...
not specifically.
Oh, okay. I mean, he's got
Black Lion does a great job at like what if the Marvel universe was the same thing. But I'm gonna try and find it now, the one I sent you. But you can talk about
going on down there.
I know.
It's crazy.
I love that somebody is talking about and doing work down below us while we're just having a fun time.
Yeah.
We're just two dudes chilling.
And my toes are freezing.
Yeah.
My toes.
My dogs.
We really committed to this bit.
Yeah. We're Minnesotans. Here it goes. Oh, it was a thread. You hate when I send you threads.
I don't hate it. It's just like I feel like I gotta get the app now because you keep sending me threads.
Imagine if Spider-Man No Way Home, instead of bringing back Tobey and Andrew, had Tom Holland playing 3 versions of himself, and instead of Doctor Strange or any of his supporting cast or other Avengers, he's helped out by the Punisher. Not John Bernthal. No, by Thomas Jane.
Oh, that one.
At the end, he reboots the universe, and now Punisher is played by Dolph Lundgren. Oh, and as the multiverse collapses, there's a CGI Chadwick Boseman cameo.
Oh, no, that'd be so bad.
That's basically the Flash.
Yeah, that was the Flash.
Okay. So, those are some examples that I could remember of.
I mean,
Nostalgia.
yeah, Indiana Jones, too. Do you
What's that?
have Indiana Jones on your list?
Just the existence of 4 and 5?
Well,
or
5 especially. That was a big nostalgia pull.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 was already a big nostalgia pull. but
yeah.
I think the fifth one was-
You're talking more legacy sequels.
I mean, that's what Captain
falls-
Maverick was.
It's true. I agree. I wonder why they didn't, again, back to the give somebody another chance.
Yeah.
I don't mind them continuing the story of Indiana Jones as the character without Harrison Ford as a young person. If they can find somebody, like, I would not be opposed, this might be a bold statement, but I would not be opposed to a Luke Skywalker show or movie starring Sebastian Stan because he has similar facial features to Mark Hamill. Like,
Well, I mean, you should see the guy who played Luke Skywalker in like The Mandalorian. Without all the face
Yeah,
stuff, he looks
pretty good.
He looks just like Mark Hamill without the face stuff.
yeah.
So
And there's some suspending of disbelief that can happen. Like, you can just
Yeah.
say, I understand that Thaddeus Ross isn't going to look like William Hurt anymore.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. Anyways, the actual inclusion of these characters for cash grabs, maybe not John Wesley Shipp, according to my list, but Wesley Snipes, Jennifer Gardner coming back as Blade and Elektra, RDJ as Doctor Doom, could have been anyone else, but it had to be RDJ, and then Michael Keaton and Michael Shannon being previous characters from the DC universe. Maybe not even the DCU. Like, Michael Keaton had no place in the DCU,
No.
and now he's technically canonical through the multiverse.
yeah,
So just using these people to draw eyes, and it just seems following the Flash and thinking about like using those CGI cameos at the end is the essence of everything else that happens. Is like trying to get as many eyes on it, maybe not by being as controversial as possible, but for the sake of getting eyes on it, not considering should this be done. It's literally the Jurassic World quote. You've been trying so hard to figure out if you can, you didn't stop to figure out if you should.
kind of like the Arcane quote too. Like, in our attempts to do great, we fail to do good.
It's true. It's true. Cinema. Absolute cinema. Okay, let's talk about No Way Home. And
Weren't we gonna go back?
And
Weren't
Daredevil.
we gonna talk about all these characters?
Oh,
We should
go
there?
ahead.
Okay. I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about with RDJ, especially here. I mean, I don't know if we brought it up in a previous episode, haven't we? RDJ's Doom. That had to have been brought up.
I think
in, like,
back when
the
it
state of the
first was
MCU
announced,
or-
yeah.
So I don't want to relay too much of what I said, but I think there is an interesting story to be told there, with kind of like with him being Doom, but also kind of with him kind of being a Tony Stark that didn't get put in check. If you know what I mean? No, because in Civil War, it's always like we need to be put in check.
So then they're changing his backstory.
No, I'm saying this to be a mere version of Tony Stark like that, except he's Victor Von Doom.
True.
And that's just to have the face to make that connection in a sense.
People, when it was first announced, brought up the fact that there's a storyline of Stark being
Yeah,
Reed Richards' roommate and still follows the same storyline as Doom, just with the name Iron Man.
I really don't want it to be Tony Stark at all.
True. Because it's going to deaden his sacrifice in Endgame.
Even if it's a multiverse version, I don't really like that. So,
no.
And I think there is story potential with casting RDJ as Doom, but I think it is mostly just a cash grab. Is why they did it. So,
okay, let me run this by you. Doom he's been known for setting up Secret Wars. I believe first it was going to be Kang. They switched it because Jonathan Majors, and now it's just going to be the same thing of Doctor Doom, bringing characters from across the multiverse to fight in Secret Wars. That's a comic thing. That's fun to see that. The fights you would never get normally. But is that all a nostalgia bait movie? Because the entire essence of that is bringing
Secret
back...
Wars is going to be a big nostalgia bait movie. I feel like we know that already.
But it's warranted.
Yeah, it's warranted.
Because that's the essence of the movie.
Yeah, I said it's the multiverse and all that, and I hope they don't really... I hope they have the script to back up the nostalgia, is what I'll say.
Yeah. So what we're honing in on is that nostalgia isn't bad if it's written well.
Yeah, you can't rely on nostalgia, is what I would say.
Yeah. Just throwing them in and not writing them well or the same. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, speaking of Doomsday,
Yeah.
we got to talk about someone else who was recently confirmed to be in the movie.
I'm not seeing the connection. Tell me.
Chris Evans.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Evans was recently confirmed to be in Avengers Doomsday.
Well, I think...
His character hasn't been announced yet, but many suspect that he'll be playing Captain Hydra and be playing a right-hand man to RDJ's Doom, which, I don't know. That just feels... It feels like another cash grab.
It feels like the real-life version of the Doom Syndicate from the Lego Supervillains video game. The Doom Syndicate is just the opposite of the Justice League.
Yeah.
And they're just the evil versions.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they're just making the Avengers...
You mean the Crime Syndicate? It's the Crime Syndicate, yeah.
Doom Syndicate is from a different... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, I expected Chris Evans and others to come back for Secret Wars as their characters from the 616 Marvel universe that we've loved for so long. Yet they're being manipulative by making them different characters, the different versions, and that's what What If is for. What If is for what if this happened, and maybe the multiverse.
I mean, What If is all about parallel universes, so it's just kind of the same.
So then it's just live action What If. They're just doing the same thing in live action.
Well,
We can. What If is a different thing.
I mean, Loki's essentially What If then in that case too.
It's true. Yeah, Loki.
Every branch. Yeah.
Loki was supposed to be a one-off villain in Thor, and he became the most loved villain. He came back for 4 other movies, died, and
You're not happy with Loki?
I'm just saying the essence of continuing to use him, even though he's died.
It was a natural progression with him, though.
Yes. That's why I can't be angry at
It was
it. I'm
well
just saying
written with
objectively I should be.
Yeah.
Because he died in Thor, technically. You watch Thor alone, you would think he would die.
Yeah.
And then he was banished in Avengers, which technically led into Thor: Dark World. And then he was in Ragnarok and Infinity War and Endgame. No, he wasn't in Endgame. He was in Infinity War, which then... No, he was in Endgame because they went back in time. So then he's at Endgame, which leads to
The Loki show.
In the other show, which... Yeah, it's weird. It's just because Tom Hiddleston is a pretty boy. That's a bold take. I'll say that right now.
Tom Hiddleston is
My computer died, by the way, so...
Oh, no. Do you want to talk more about Michael Keaton? Do you have anything else to say about Michael Keaton?
It's so weird. Michael Keaton's inclusion in The Flash was so weird because they already had... I mean, they wanted it multiverse. This is the same thing where you talked a bit in the Superman of like adapting the death of Superman super early in the run of the characters. So the Flash getting more or less a Flashpoint movie, even though it's not directly Flashpoint. The point of changing his mother's death scenario into changing, the butterfly effect into other things. That's what I saw as Flashpoint, and that's what they adapted in the movie. So they already included Batfleck. Even after he said, I'm not going to be Batman anymore, he got his little cameo at the beginning. And then Keaton comes back. They happen to go to his universe, or not technically his universe, is a different one that has a Batman that looks like Michael Keaton. And it's, I don't know. A lot of people loved Keaton for his role, and yet it just seemed disrespectful, especially with all of his deaths at the end when they're time looping.
Yeah.
It just seemed disrespectful to kill him off so much when they shouldn't have included him in the first place.
And the interesting thing about his Batman in that movie, and the same thing's true for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in Deadpool Wolverine, is that they're not their original version of the character.
Yeah.
In either movie.
Yeah.
They're both alternate timeline. Because in The Flash, Michael Keaton's playing the Batman in this timeline that they changed.
Yeah.
And
it has a different story than the Michael Keaton Batman movies that we got.
So that's
But he still has the same catchphrase. That's the other interesting thing when it comes to multiverse. Sorry, you had a train of thought, but
I was saying that's like bad nostalgia right there, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Because it's really just the face and everything. He's not even playing the character in a sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is with the multiverse, you know, the joke is that if they've run out of ideas, they just do the multiverse.
Yeah.
Which is acceptable logically, but not morally almost. And it's interesting that some characters look the same and some don't. If you're just going on in-world explanations, is like, why do all the Spider-Men look different? But then, you know, some Batman look the same and some don't, or whatever.
Infinite possibilities. That's I mean,
When you have infinite, technically, yes, it's
Yeah.
okay to do this, even though it's not.
it's okay to have 3 or Benedict Cumberbatch playing multiple different versions of Doctor Strange, but then
Yeah, and they all look the same.
yeah.
I don't know, man. I want to talk. We should talk about this last thing because it's probably the hottest part of the episode.
No Way Home?
No Way Home.
Okay.
Let's start off with the lowest. They're the least controversial, I would say, is villains.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Charlie Cox, but
I think we should save Charlie Cox because I'm even torn about that. You're more. Anyways, the villains. Being villains from previous Spider-Man movies, they needed a Sinister Six. Somewhat, to me, it felt forced. Because if they were going the Sinister Six route, they did a terrible job setting that up.
well, there
in
should
the
have been
first
6 of them. If they
That's
were doing
true.
the Sinister
They didn't even-
Six.
it wasn't even
There were
Sinister-
5 of them.
Venom could have been there, and it went Venom. It
Yeah.
couldn't have been the original Sinister Six, but you would have 6.
Yeah.
That's the weird part. Is that I think we talked about this in the Spider-Man episode. Is like if you were going for 5, why not make the Sinister Six?
Yeah.
Or set up the Sinister Six. Like the multiverse was such a cop out in that movie to include all these characters, and I do think that it was well received, obviously. And here's the thing: you can look at my notes. I will still watch No Way Home again and again and enjoy the crap out of it.
Yeah, me too.
But I still think that it was cheap to bring these characters back. We all love seeing Toby. We all love seeing Andrew. We love seeing Willem Dafoe. But then you get into the questions of like, why didn't you include other people? Why is it only these people? And I know we'll talk about this in the live action to animation. No, from animation. Live action from animation remakes is like the Lion King remake having James Earl Jones still be Mufasa. What about anyone else? Why did no one else get the same casting as they did from the original? Why did only he get that privilege? It's because he's James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
So the story was good for the Spider-Man. I mean, the Spider-Verse is all about this. The Spider-Man character is interesting because it has the possibility of having so many different Spider-Men. And the fact that we had 2 other ones previously set up for a good story that included them and, you know, told a little bit about how they changed over time, being, you know, pulling your punches, and how Tobey's Spider-Man was changed and felt loss like he did and all that. Another aspect of it is like raising the bar so high that Spider-Man 4 is going to have to be better than that. And that's something you've talked about at length. But also just sorry, backing up to like why not including other people from previous movies is like why did you choose those specifically five, to come back as villains instead of six, making the Sinister Six, and why are they all like the way the story fell apart? I think is where they were just like, oh, I'm evil now, and we're all gonna work together to fight these Spider-Men. I think the final fight was a big nostalgia grab for the sake of like Toby fighting Sandman, Andrew fighting Electro. But you have to do that. If you build the story up, if you're welcoming that, that has to be done. And I've ranted about like the way that it was composed, not the music, but like when Andrew jumps through the portal, he's just like standing there and doing an idle pose while everyone in the audience is clapping. Yeah. I think that should have been cut for the home release. But even then, it was still hype to see him. Like, everyone wants Spider-Man to get another movie, everyone wants Andrew to get another movie because he was a good cast. Yeah. But I still think that you can't have all of these characters getting rebooted. I have my thoughts on reboots, and specifically like the Batman, and if James Gunn is going to bring the Batman into the DCU. He's not. He said he's not. But then we're going to have multiple Batman, multiple Jokers. It's like, it's getting frustrating. Yeah. Sorry, I've been talking too long.
I mean, it's funny that you brought up Venom being the sixth member, because I still find it hilarious that, Sony pretty much lobbed up Venom to be used in No Way Home,
and then just put him in a post-credit scene.
And then No Way Home completely ignored that until the post-credit scene.
And then it's funny when Venom 3 came out, they're like, I guess he's in a bar. We'll go with that as the opening scene. Like, it makes sense, but we didn't want that. We wanted you to use him, pretty please.
I loved how, I mean, this is a side tangent, but I loved how Venom called out the multiverse crap in Venom 3. That was a better joke than Deadpool and Wolverine calling out the multiverse. Yeah. Because Deadpool and Wolverine was still a multiverse movie. Yeah. So it was a more fulfilling joke for Venom to do it and then not be a multiverse film. Yeah.
We should have talked about, maybe we still can, the Void in Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine for just having a bunch of... Those are more cameos.
Yeah, those are just cameos.
Yeah. So. Never mind. But still, it warrants the usage of Deadpool and Wolverine, bringing back those characters saying, oh, we've been in the Void. But I also think the introduction of the Void was probably a mistake on Loki's part for the sake of...
Oh, really?
The implications that it has further down the road.
Okay.
I don't know.
I guess we can talk about that in a future episode.
Sure.
But, yeah, what do I think about the villains? I mean, to me, it makes sense why they picked the villains they did. Because I feel like people don't really care for the villains that they didn't bring back. Like...
The difference between Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and the other one?
Dane something. You're talking about the one in the Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone wanted to see him come back.
Yeah. But if he was disliked and Electro was disliked, why did they bring back Electro? Give him a revamp. He looks different. He doesn't look like his transparent blue.
Fox. That's probably the only reason there.
So what we're saying is, wherever you rank on the scale of popularity as a celebrity, depends on how this movie is going to be written and played out with who gets to come back.
Tell me I'm wrong.
He's Jamie Foxx.
And, I mean, no one really liked Topher Grace's Venom.
No.
He wasn't very popular. No. I mean, we didn't need the big mech rhino. So, it makes sense why they chose the 5 villains they did. Because they were either well-received villains or popular celebrities.
Yeah.
Lizard's an interesting choice. I mean, I feel like he was well-received enough.
Enough that he was a tertiary character in No Way Home. Like, he wasn't that main.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those characters were just kind of there, which kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
Him and Sandman especially were just there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean...
Sandman's always been...
Thomas Hayden Church wasn't even on set.
No, I know. And he was one of those... Even... He went through the same thing as he did in Spider-Man 3, where he's like, I don't know if I'm evil. Like, you're just kind of fighting me because I'm a big, dangerous monster, and I don't really have a moral reason to be fighting you.
I know I'm repeating what we talked about way back in the No Way Home episode.
Yeah.
But remember the rewrite I told you about?
The rewrite?
Where they added a scene with Green Goblin and Sandman. This is a Nando rewrite, where Green Goblin basically, essentially like blackmail, or not blackmail.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
threatens Marco's daughter.
Yeah.
And then Marco's like, "But you're gonna be dead when we get back to our universe." And then Green Goblin's just like, "But do you really know that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that would have made Marco's motivations more clear than for just him to be beat people up. That's all he was doing there. So
Yeah.
kind of as you were saying, and kind of as I already said about No Way Home, it's mid-writing, but it was great to see all these characters back. And I'll watch that movie again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I guess, can we move into the Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess you kind of already did.
A little bit.
I will say Andrew's return was better than Tobey's return.
Yes.
Just
You're
because
talking his existence in the movie, not
Yeah,
his
yeah,
entrance into
no,
the movie.
yeah, the whole-
Okay.
Because-
The entrance scene was a little cringe all around.
Yeah,
It's
and
like, oh, I just stepped through this portal. I found myself in this universe. Oh my goodness.
and it was an awkward scene transition to going from Aunt May's death to fun spider people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then back to Aunt May's death, because I believe right after that he's mourning.
Oh yeah, then they go.
But
back
that was a
to-
powerful
then-
scene.
Yeah,
when
the
they were
school
like,
rooftop scene was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
But it was just an awkward way to bring them in. But anyway, yeah, Andrew's existence in the movie, I would say, was better than Toby's because it did continue his story.
Is it because it was unfairly canceled and he didn't shine as much as he could have through his movies?
That's-
both with the story and with them canceling the third one.
That's part of it, yeah. But No Way Home really did nothing to continue Toby's story.
True.
Was-
Except for being the mentor who stops
Yeah,
Tom from killing Green Goblin.
there was that.
And now, yeah, but I admit that generally you're right.
Because of kind of seeing what happened post Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then seeing him, find kind of redemption in catching MJ.
Yeah.
And I will say he was the most fun Spider-Man to watch in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell he loves that role.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire don't, but Andrew Maguire, you can tell he was having fun.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I will say I think he's the best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think he does the whole thing the best so far.
What did we say? Andrew Garfield's the best Spider-Man. Toby has the best movies, and
Tom has the greatest potential. Is what I would say. But
But
he just needs a good movie.
yeah.
If he gets a good movie, he could be the best Spider-Man. But we have yet to see that.
Yeah.
What?
I want to get to Charlie Cox.
Okay. What else? Did I have anything else to say about Andrew Garfield?
The ice guy is leaving finally after like a half hour.
Seeing Tobey Maguire stop Green Goblin, or not stop Green Goblin, stop Tom Holland. Seeing Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stop Tom Holland Spider-Man from stopping him from killing.
I call
Green
them
Goblin.
Andrew, Tom, and Toby, even though there's all Peter.
Yeah,
I still do that.
Yeah. Seeing that scene where Toby stops Andrew. No, Toby stops Tom.
Yeah.
From killing Willem. If we're using actor names. Yeah. I thought that was a very fulfilling nostalgia scene.
Yeah.
Because, it kind of called back to Spider-Man 3 when, Harry sacrificed himself for Toby. I think, too, with everything that Green Goblin had done to Toby's Spider-Man, it was very impactful to see him still not want him dead.
Yeah.
So I think overall, there wasn't much, I guess, continuation for his character in the movie, but that was still good.
Yeah. Charlie Cox.
Okay.
Matthew Murdock, Daredevil. So, where I want to start with this.
Yeah. I don't think this is nostalgia.
That's
what I'm gonna
First
say.
off, let's rewind the clock to
It's rewind time.
It's rewind time.
2019. When did No Way Home release?
2021.
2021. Okay, so it was a post-COVID movie. I don't know why I forgot that. 2021. Did we know that he was gonna be in No Way Home?
I think he was in an early leak.
Okay.
there were those leaks that were.
I remember the leak season. I remember
that was a great season.
I know. I was very convinced that Andrew and Toby were going to be in it, especially when the Brazil trailer leaked, and not leaked, but the mistake in the Brazil trailer, and there were things like people found 3 sets of Spider-Man suits in the costume shop and stuff, things like that. That was fun, and especially with nothing confirmed, like we felt like we were right, and I'm glad we were.
Oh, do you remember the whole thing with the DoorDash driver too, and Andrew Garfield?
Yes.
Did you hear Andrew Garfield talk about that recently?
Yeah.
He was like, I felt so bad, but I didn't want him to see me.
He's like hiding and being a jerk. He's like, go away.
Yeah. He's like, he didn't want to be a jerk, but he also didn't want to like ruin No Way Home. So
Yeah.
Didn't work out though.
So Charlie Cox appearing as Daredevil in No Way Home. That was technically that was the first time we had seen him.
Yeah.
Was it? When did She-Hulk? She-Hulk was
She-Hulk was
later
after.
2022.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to crash course Ellie on She-Hulk and Echo. Are you shaking?
Yeah, I'm shaking. I'm good.
Let's go inside.
Yeah, we're going inside.
A few moments later.
The Minnesota bit is over.
12 seconds later.
2 bros chilling on a couch. 1 foot apart because they're not gay.
Hey.
I don't know if you knew this chicken nugget dino stuffy.
Yeah.
His name is Chain Link Fence.
Yeah. We talked about that last time.
Okay,
Yep.
just making sure. Now the audience knows too.
Chain link fence.
Cha-Cha for short.
Cha-cha.
Named by my wife. Where were we? Charlie Cox. We'll just start that bit over.
We decided not to be true Minnesotans anymore.
Yeah.
Got too cold for me.
Yeah, too cold. It's actually not that bad. For just like, I could walk to my car in shorts.
Yeah.
But it's been an hour outside.
Yeah.
And we were babies. Not really. We're humans. That's what we are. It's
Yeah.
cold. Okay, Charlie Cox. Let's wrap this up because I want to eat lunch. The inclusion of him in No Way Home was cool, especially with the framing of it. I think he had like his stick coming in and then talking, and even if we didn't know he was coming, even if we did know he was going to be in it, it's cool that it was a cool introduction.
Yeah.
But the existence of Daredevil in the MCU, obviously, you're going to argue that the Netflix shows are canon.
I mean, they are.
Well, if the Netflix shows are canon, there's multiple problems with it, such as my discovery that Mahershala Ali is...
Well, there's already been characters playing both, or actors playing multiple characters within the MCU.
Such as? Oh, within the MCU. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to make that argument, though.
Such
They
as-
shouldn't do that.
Such as Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom.
Oh, no. It's a loop. My argument, I guess, stems off of the fact that the Netflix shows are not canon. And I believe that's also confirmed with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going off on their own rabbit trail
Yeah.
on something else. That is fine for them. I love Charlie Cox playing Daredevil. He does a great job. I'm so excited for Born Again.
Yeah.
I think that because they've jumped on this train, not saying that his inclusion in the MCU is bad, the fact that he's jumped on this train is now going to be another Wolverine and Hugh Jackman all over again. And I also think the same thing about Wolverine is that give somebody else a chance to play it. At the very least, stop at Deadpool and Wolverine. Let that be his last one and do something different with the character if you go the mutant route. I think they should go the mutant route technically in phase 6. Oh my goodness.
Well, I assume everything's going to get reset after Secret Wars, so I
would hope so. But then again, you get into the conversation of should you reboot things or should you just let them be? We're going to keep making superhero movies. The James Gunn Superman. Like, a lot of people are like, we've had too many Supermans. Why do we need another Superman? Like, this has been like the 6th plus reboot. Not that you need, maybe you have a different story to tell. That's the whole reason why there's multiple comic line runs. There's multiple comic storylines of the same characters because you can discover different things with them.
Yeah.
But when they all look the same, you can't do that as well. I think visually, and therefore with a different actor, changing the look of them helps tell a different story. And with Born Again, they are continuing the story.
Yeah.
If they had done what they originally were going to do with Daredevil,
I mean, it was still going to be a
Born Again.
continuation, but
Before they reset everything, it was going to be less of a continuation. I believe they
Yeah,
said
I
it
mean,
was
it
going
was-
to be a loose adaptation of the continuation of the story, and now it's going to be more of a season 4.
Yeah.
From what we've heard.
Yeah, with Bullseye and all that. So
But if they hadn't, I would argue. Maybe that's where this stems from. I'm arguing from past me saying that if they weren't going to make it a season 4, it should be a different actor. But now that it is going to basically be a season 4, I'm definitely okay with that. And then it makes sense. I think I'm breaking down my own thought process here,
Yeah.
and that I was right, and now continuing with the same idea that Daredevil should be a different actor is now wrong
Yeah.
because of how they've transitioned into how they're treating the character. I still think for things like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man,
that could have been a different actor.
everyone
but-
else is a different actor.
Yeah.
And Matt isn't. Matt's the same. Matt's still Charlie. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
There's also things. Maybe this is something that is more for funnies. Is the inclusion of J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson in every universe? Like, I think that's funny that he's like an anchor being or something. But if Daredevil is a good character and has been adapted well through the TV show, I don't think he's anywhere close to being like an anchor being where he's always looking like Matt Murdock or something. Or sorry, always looks like Charlie Cox. I think that they're when you get to these points with Hugh Jackman and Charlie Cox, you start eliminating the possibility of other people giving their chance, giving their shot at it. Even if you complete Charlie Cox Daredevil storyline, let him be. I would have been fine with getting what we got with Daredevil's the Netflix show. I think that Marvel wants to include him in the MCU because money. Hello, I like money.
Hello, I like money.
Yeah. But after that, he gets to interact with other MCU characters. Put it down.
Yeah.
Let somebody else play him. I think we're living in an interesting time where we have seen the MCU rise and fall, possibly on the rise again, unlikely though, into something that could be rebooted. What would you do differently? Like, we've had Iron Man before, as a very low budget Iron Man. Then we got RDJ. It was amazing. Looked great. We had the technology. Technology is going to get better, but it already looks real. You can't get more real than real. So Iron Man 1 in 2008 looked great. When you reboot Iron Man again, it's going to be the same visual look. That's really why Iron Man existed in 2008, is because of the visuals that you could give to the character. What more are you going to do with future installments and a different actor? It's an interesting concept. That's what I'm not saying it should go one way or another, but you shouldn't have RDJ, who's probably almost 60 by now, still being Iron Man, especially after his sacrifice that's been given in Endgame. Let somebody else be Iron Man, and not Ironheart. Ironheart should not be an Iron Man. Ironheart should be Ironheart.
Yeah.
If you choose to reboot the Tony Stark Iron Man, let it be another actor. Do something different. It can't be the same thing.
No.
That's a rant.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. You have your...
Try to start at Charlie Cox, because that's where we started.
That is where we started. We were talking, but again, remember that I've kind of rescinded my assumption that Daredevil should be recast because it was based off of news that is no longer relevant, especially since Daredevil is almost released now.
I will say the original vision for the series felt a lot like a just nostalgic cash grab, with only bringing back Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, and John Bernthal, because those are...
And it's not more of a cash grab with bringing back more characters like Dex.
Well,
And
I'm
Karen
just
and
saying
Foggy.
bringing...
I'm not. That was Devil's Avocados, by the way. Not my actual thoughts.
Avocados at law.
Devil's Avocados. Deviled Avocados is like.
Well, you know, like the flashback episode where they're like, avocados at law.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
When he
one.
said avocados, that's just what it made me think of.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Bringing back those three just kind of showed they just wanted the faces, if you know what I mean.
versus continuing the storyline.
Versus continuing
especially
the storyline.
saying that they weren't going to bring back Karen and Foggy. And
Yeah.
like, well, that's not a continuation of the story. They're so essential.
Yeah, I mean, those are characters that, like, I don't know. In a way, it's like saying you're going to make a Superman show and have Batman in it, but not Lois Lane.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because Foggy and Karen are essential to Matt's character.
Yeah.
Even Charlie Cox was saying that recently. He was asked about their return, and he was saying they're really the heartbeat of who Matt is.
Yeah.
And it helps to show, like, the impact of his actions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So not including them in the show really just showed that they didn't actually care about Matt's character, is what I would say, and they just more cared about his face, Charlie Cox's face.
Yeah.
So
And,
now,
and along the same lines, I want you to continue your thought, but along the same lines of knowing that the Netflix show is popular among Daredevil fans, even among most Marvel fans, they'll say that that's some of the best cinema that the MCU has given us, even if it's not directly the MCU.
absolutely, it is directly the MCU.
The
Last year they said it's canon.
I know.
They said it's all canon.
I know.
You can't fight it anymore.
But just having it be they initially greenlit the show because they wanted quick money, saying, "Hey, you like all of these characters?
Yeah.
We're gonna give it to you again." That is literally the reason why they greenlit it. And then they were like, "Shoot, we need to make this good."
Yeah.
And then they hopefully have and
Yep.
will, but that seemed to work backwards and not what they should have done. Like, it's so bonkers. That is, I think Daredevil is a great example of this nostalgia grab that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating that they just want money. Why can't they respect the art? And I think that's the theme of existence right now.
Yeah.
More or less, is like AI.
Yep.
It exists. It's helpful. It's useful in certain ways. Maybe you do need an AI generated picture really quickly, and you don't mind that it looks like that. But in all honesty, it's the heart behind it is like, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
There was somebody who's just got a lot of heat for writing a book, and he forgot to take out one of the ChatGPT prompts that said, "Certainly, I changed this for you so that the character is more likable and more sexy and all that." And like,
Yikes.
people are like, "You didn't even proofread it. You just copy pasted it into the book." So what's the heart behind it? And
Yeah.
and respecting the art. Respecting the art. You can use AI. You can use it to summarize things, make a data sheet into comprehensible. Like you can say, make this graph into or this chart of numbers make sense for me or something like that, because it can do that a lot quicker. But you can't replace it. Like you can't just have it write an email for you. You still need to put in the work of writing at least the prompt, and then you got to proofread it. Just write the email yourself.
Yeah.
It's because it's going too far, and that's not creative. And I think that's the essence of what we're talking about. We are creative beings. We are sub creators. It's one of my favorite quotes from J.R.R. Tolkien. We reflect the creator, and when the nostalgia grab is just a tool that has been overused to avoid being creative, because being creative is hard, but it's worth it. And some people don't see that. They just see the money and if the creators don't respect the art and the consumers don't respect the art, but it's still making them money, none of that matters. They just want the money. Sorry, I was getting philosophical. Did you have more about Charlie Cox?
Yeah, I was going to say too. I mean,
I keep cutting you off.
Going off of what you were saying, I think bringing back Foggy and Karen, and even doing things as small as bringing back the original actress of Vanessa, show a greater respect for the characters, the story, and the art. They're just doing like the bare minimum by having these few recognizable faces that people are gonna throw their money at.
Yeah.
So
It's all coming back to a loop because we talked about Daredevil at the beginning. We are going to do a Daredevil Part 2 episode.
Yeah.
We do have a Daredevil Part 1. It wasn't titled Part 1.
No.
But we did talk about Daredevil Seasons 1 through 3. I would encourage listening to that. Even if you haven't watched...
watch the show first.
You have a very limited amount of time if you plan on watching Born Again when it comes out immediately, which you don't have to. But I would highly suggest watching through seasons 1 through 3 of Daredevil, especially 3. Like, there's so much good theological conversations, and he's like, "I'm Job. I'm such a downcast man," and Maggie's like, "Oh, you're just being a butt."
Dude, that's Matt in seasons 2 and 3. It's just like, you're being a butt. Stop moping and actually do something, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, it's cinema.
Absolute cinema.
It's really good. And I think we'll have a lot to talk about when Born Again comes out, because it's either going to flop or it's going to have all the aspects that this Netflix show had, and we're going to love it.
And I'm going to bring up Nadim in part 2 because I feel so bad that I forgot about him in our first Daredevil episode. Nadim.
Oh, Nadim. Yeah.
I completely forgot about him in our first episode.
Me too.
I felt so bad about that.
When we started season 3, I forgot that he existed.
He is such a good character.
Yeah, his morals, compromising, and all that stuff. That's good.
He's got such a well-written story in there.
All right. Well,
I mean, we didn't bring him. Did you want to bring up Charlie Cox and She-Hulk? Is that something we wanted to talk about?
yes, actually. I was wrapping up. Man, I need more. I've been doing this for 2 years, 100 episodes, and I still can't get a flow to my episodes.
Yeah.
No, the one thing that we brought up in a different episode, I think it was...
we need like an outline in front of us for this.
Yeah.
Teleprompter.
Yeah. In She-Hulk was the real first appearance. I would say that the No Way Home was a cameo. It was a good cameo. She-Hulk was his first appearance because he played into the story. We argued when we talked about She-Hulk, not with each other, but that Matt wasn't a one-night stand guy. But apparently he was in the comics, and they kind of changed that for the show.
Yeah. Yep.
But we still argued that the show, he's more loyal. Mm-hmm. He's more loyal of a boyfriend, even to his the ladies he sleeps with. He's still more loyal, and will not move on so quickly like he did with Jennifer. Regardless,
Jen Walters.
Oh,
okay. I was about to say, who's Jennifer?
Who's Jennifer? Jen Walters.
All right.
I guess she's never called Jennifer.
She probably was.
Anyways, his entrance was in a courtroom scene, which I think when we had talked about our predictions for She-Hulk, or what we wish She-Hulk would have been, was more of a courtroom drama like the Netflix show was, where they're fighting against or with each other. No. I wanted them to be fighting against each other in court and fighting together on the streets.
Yeah.
That would have been a great story.
Yeah.
But it was all for comedy and She-Hulk. But the part where the nostalgia comes in is not his inclusion. It's how they introduced him. Mm-hmm. When he walked into the courtroom, and you hear the Daredevil theme song.
Is that where you hear it? I hear it later. I don't think it's.
I think it's when he opens the doors and he walks in with his cane. And
later when he says, "I'm Daredevil."
Oh, that too. Yeah. It just randomly comes up later.
I don't think it plays in the courtroom scene, does it?
I think it. We can double check. Play the clip. But
roll film.
But it plays the theme regardless of when it happened.
Yeah.
And I felt something. And looking back, I hated that I felt something, because it reminded me of the Daredevil show. But I knew that his inclusion in the show of She-Hulk was not valid.
Yeah.
It was not good. It was not beloved. It was just to say, hey, look, Daredevil's in this. Same as Echo. It's like, hey, Daredevil's in this. You want to watch it, right? And then the limit of what Daredevil was in Echo was what we saw in the trailer, and that was pretty disappointing. But
I mean, they just did the least to make you feel something like that.
Yeah.
It was very all superficial.
Yeah.
You know, they used the theme. They gave him a hallway fight, but
oh yeah, and then they made fun of the hallway fight, because then he was facing down the last guy, and then She-Hulk just jumps on the guy and crushes him under the roof of the building.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I mean, they did those superficial things, but he was just like the shell of who his character is.
Yeah. I think the inclusion of that hallway fight was like, we're doing the thing. He did the thing.
Yeah, that's they want you to be saying that when you watch it. Oh, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing. Well, that's that music. That's that music.
How about doing something different? Like they did,
or respecting the character.
That too. They did a oneer for each season of the Netflix show, and each one was different.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and yet they're still wonder. Like you can do a thing again, but make it different, make it unique, and not just doing a different punch. Like obviously you're not going to copy the punches, fight punch for punch, literally punch for punch.
Yeah.
But the style needs to change a little bit. Wonder is a great way to be like, how are we going to do something unique with this one? So yeah,
And each Wonder is so good in the.
I love the third one.
Dude, yeah, when he's like not even in the suit or anything, and he's just going at these guys. And oh, this is a side tangent again, but you basically see Charlie Cox's face the whole time.
Yeah,
There's one quick moment where he goes off screen, and then you don't see his face again until he's off screen again. So I think for that small portion, there may have been a double.
Sure.
But besides like 2 minutes or whatever, 1 minute there, that was like Charlie Cox the whole time.
and he also has to. I feel like he would still do the distant eye thing where he's the blind look. But he's got to fight people. He's got to see out of his peripheral vision and such. That's a talent.
You know, most Wonders aren't real Wonders.
Oh yeah,
either,
I saw
so-
plenty of cuts where the lights were flashing. That was a good way to.
Oh, yeah.
Like the lights flashing to black was able to hide like a sudden cut, a jump cut into another second half of the take or whatever. But
I mean, I think in season 2, there's a bunch of flashing lights during the Wonder too. So
yeah,
I think that was easy to include some cuts.
yeah.
But
Cool. Well, we can talk about Daredevil after Born Again comes out.
Yeah.
I actually don't know when the last episode comes out. Have they announced if they're doing like batches of 3?
I don't know.
Well,
I thought it was going to be weekly because they actually
that's gonna take forever though. I mean, it's like a normal TV show.
9 weeks.
I know, but I wanted to talk about Daredevil in March, and
Well, that's not going to happen.
well, no, if they release them in batches of 3, they'll be out by the end of March.
Yeah, but I think they trust this show more than they did like Echo or something, where they just
Wasn't there one show that just the whole thing was released at once?
that was Echo. Yeah,
Yeah, Echo was released
all
all
5
at once.
episodes were released on the same day.
Yeah. Well, we've gone on long enough, and we're getting distracted now, so we better shut it down. I don't think
Did we want to say something about Indiana Jones?
we kind of did.
I feel like to me, just say my thoughts on that because I thought that was going to be a more major part of the episode. You know, the fourth one was already like the he's an old man now movie.
And that was what, in 2000?
That was like at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, at least.
So then to do another movie where it's basically again just he's an old man.
Yeah.
It's just a total cash grab.
Yeah.
And instead of you could have. I heard the script wasn't even that good with time travel apparently, which is dumb.
Yep. I
To do
watched
an
it.
Indiana Jones movie.
I watched it.
But where's I going with that? It's like you could have done original characters
Yeah.
with the same script instead
Yep.
of relying on just a name and a face to carry it for you. Because really, if it wouldn't have been Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford, it would not have done nearly as well.
Yeah.
It would have been an easily forgotten movie.
Yeah.
So
I think where we were talking about that was talking about we moved on to Star Wars and
Yeah.
like Sebastian Stan playing Luke Skywalker or something, but I think Indiana Jones is a character that can be played by multiple actors, and that's okay. And they did do that. They just think that it's only Harrison Ford, and yet they released a video game.
yeah,
And I don't know if he voiced him. I doubt he did.
it's his face though. Still,
It's still his face
yeah.
because his face is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So
Which makes
that's
sense.
an interesting concept.
It
of
makes
like,
sense to continue that in a video game.
Yeah.
but
It's interesting. I think another thing that we can be talking about in coming years is the Harry Potter reboot, which is similar nostalgia, but it's not. It's nostalgia for the story, but it's like, what are they going to change? What are they going to do different in a TV show format and with completely different actors?
here's a good question for nostalgia: would the movie still have been remembered if it was original characters?
Which one were you talking?
Just like in general.
No, which movie? I just moved on to Harry Potter, but are you still talking about Indiana Jones?
No, I'm just talking about like nostalgia movies in general.
Say it again.
If it was original characters, would the movie still have been memorable?
You're talking a different story without the brand of whatever they're.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question.
The
to ask with
answer is
nostalgia movies.
mostly no, but I think that they should consider that in what they're remaking. And again, this varies. Our nostalgia conversation has ranged from cameos to reboots to installments that aren't warranted, but
That's
usually the answer is no.
yeah. That's the
It
question
wouldn't
they
have-
should be
wouldn't have any
asking
money.
in these Hollywood studios.
Yeah.
Would this still be a good movie if it wasn't well-known characters?
Yeah.
Because that's honestly when I think about with that is the movie Lightyear. Have you seen Lightyear?
I want to. Only for research purposes.
Yeah,
I've heard it wasn't that great.
It's not a
but
very great movie.
yeah.
I only saw it. It was weird. I was lying on a couch and I had a headache and I didn't want to move and the movie was on.
Oh, so you're
I just
forced
sat-
to watch it.
So I just sat there for the whole movie because I was like, I didn't want to move.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like this. If this movie wasn't a Buzz Lightyear movie, it would have just been a quickly forgotten sci-fi film.
Yeah. Brands and IPs, that's what sell.
Yeah.
What's that from? That's from
That's Free Guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
IPs and sequels.
The bad guy is right in that one.
Yeah.
I gotta try and do a Taika Waititi impression. IPs and he doesn't really have a list.
Why are you doing a list?
He said the sloth. I don't know how to do a Taika. I'm sorry.
I don't.
I don't know what I was going for there. I'm sorry. I apologize. Not to Taika Waititi, just for everyone's ears. I can usually do pretty good impressions.
It's funny that Taika Waititi suddenly became Sid the Sloth.
I don't know. I was trying to do
He
his.
left without me to do this every year.
He has a accent that's a little odd.
Yeah,
but
I can't really hear it in my head right now. So.
can I finally call it?
Yeah.
Okay. The premise of this episode was that Zach and I disagreed on Daredevil. The end of this episode reveals that I wasn't as upset as I thought I was.
I won the argument. That's the end. That's the end of the episode. I'm right. Seth's wrong.
Sure. We're friends again.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening or watching. Buy your merch or don't. Most people don't. Nobody wants my stuff. Nobody wants to show that.
Go buy
they're
the
a
merch,
fan.
guys.
You didn't wear your OEFP shirt. That's fine. You wear it next time. Yeah, fun stuff coming up. Maybe not soon, but sometime.
I mean, there's fun stuff coming up soon
Always.
because there's more episodes every week.
Yeah.
Don't discount all those episodes.
No, I know what you're saying. Buy stickers. We have stickers left. Super cheap. Yep. Super cheap stickers to just slap on a water bottle or something.
Yep. Slap them on your face.
Yeah. Follow our socials, share it with a friend, do all the stuff that I've said in previous episodes, and until next week, know that you're loved. God bless.
Thanks for watching, Mom.
I was going to do like a thing where we were like shivering, like get inside, but we did that earlier. So,
Yeah.
anyways, hopefully we don't have hypothermia.
Nope.
All right.
We're not going to get hypothermia in 35-degree weather.
Peace out.
Peace.